We got your 6
at 6 a.m. with The Link on Breeze 93.9 FM. Bree and I connect you with all the latest news and information you need to know to start your day.
Then check back with Guam's news leader at 6 p.m. for the day's top headlines with KUAM News Primetime.
From 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and everything else in between with KUAM Digital, we got your 6.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
We got your 6
at 6 a.m. with The Link on Breeze 93.9 FM. Bree and I connect you with all the latest news and information you need to know to start your day.
Then check back with Guam's news leader at 6 p.m. for the day's top headlines with KUAM News Primetime.
From 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and everything else in between with KUAM Digital, we got your 6.
forced to make decisions with or without your permission. It's only getting brighter on side with the teaching from a freedom fighter. But since it's been so long, you're moving on strong. You feel me, then I feel you, then we move right along. But since it's been so long, you're moving on strong. You feel me, then I feel you, then we move right along. Hey, hey. It's time to get on the bus and go downtown. Wake up now. It's time to get on your bus and go downtown.
The Link, here on Breeze 93.9 FM.
You need a minute, darling. I need a minute too. 'Cause I've been grinding gears through all these years in love with you. You needed something, darling. I needed something too. While you were searching around for the answer right in front of you, I said, the girl, you're running all your makeup. You got what you want and I was trapped in the middle. And in my mind, you know I won't make up a fumble with my lyrics like I'm stuck in a riddle. I said, girl, you're running all your makeup. You got what you want and I was trapped in the middle. And in my mind, you know I won't make up a fumble with my lyrics like I'm stuck in a riddle. Say, we're burning up with that island fever. We're burning up with that island fever. We're burning up with that island fever. You need a minute, darling. I need a minute too. 'Cause I've been grinding gears through all these years in love with you. You needed something, darling. I needed something too. While you were searching around for the answer right in front of you, I said, the girl, you're running all your makeup. You got what you want and I was trapped in the middle. And in my mind, you know I won't make up a fumble with my lyrics like I'm stuck in a riddle. I said, girl, you're running all your makeup. You got what you want and I was trapped in the middle. And in my mind, you know I won't make up a fumble with my lyrics like I'm stuck in a riddle. Say, we're burning up with that island fever. We're burning up with that island fever. We're burning up with that island fever. I was sick of each other, but you don't wanna be alone. And when we're under the covers, you don't wanna let it go. All energy is borrowed, and at the end of this life we'll have to return it. So who are we to just burn it? All energy is borrowed, and at the end of this life we'll have to return it. So who are we to just burn it? I said, the girl, you're running on your makeup. You got what you want and I was trapped in the middle. And in my mind, you know I won't make up. Fumble with my lyrics like I'm stuck in a riddle. I said, girl, you running on your makeup. You got what you want and I was trapped in the middle. And in my mind, you know I won't make up. Fumble with my lyrics like I'm stuck in a riddle. Say, we're burning up with that island fever. 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 She got me hurting, yearning, tossing and turning. We're burning up with that island fever. The way she's good for my body, but she's bad for my soul. We're burning up with that island fever. She got me hurting, yearning, tossing and turning. We're burning up with that island fever. The way she's good for my body, but she's bad for my soul. We're burning up with that island fever.
The Link. Here on Breeze 93.9 FM.
Yeah. Na 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 na. I don't wanna wait in vain for your love. I don't wanna wait in vain for your love. From the very first time I placed my eyes on you, boy, yeah, my heart said follow through. But I know now that I'm way down on your line, yeah. But the way to feel is fine. So don't treat me like a puppet on a string, yeah. 'Cause I know how to do my thing. Don't talk to me as if you think I'm dumb, yeah. I wanna know when you're gonna come. Soon, I don't wanna wait in vain for your love. No, 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 no. I don't wanna wait in vain for your love. I don't wanna wait in vain for your love. 'Cause if summer is here and I'm still waiting there, winter is here and I'm still waiting there, yeah. It's been 3 years since I'm knocking on your door, yeah. And I still can't knock so much. Ooh, girl, is it feasible? I wanna know now, for I to knock someone. And life, I know there is lots of grief, yeah, but your love is my relief. Tears in my eyes burn, tears in my eyes burn, while I'm waiting for my turn. Soon, and I don't wanna wait in vain for your love. I don't wanna wait in vain for your love. I don't wanna wait in vain for your love. I don't wanna wait in vain for your love. I don't wanna wait in vain. No, I don't wanna wait in vain. No, I don't wanna wait in vain.
All right, let's do it. Good morning, Guam. Viva Business. Welcome to the link on the Breeze 93.9. Hey, our apologies. A little more standard time beginning here on Viva Business because there's so many things going on and something is either plugged in the wrong hole or so they're trying to figure that out. But we just got to get this show started, man, because we got a big, huge show. Right off the bat, I just want to wish my oldest son, Lennon Barnett, a happy 17th birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday, my boy. He's still sleeping anyway. It's 6:29, and the link is proudly brought to you by Polka, which is distributed by Ambrose. Thank you so much, Polka, for dropping off all the great drinks. They have an awesome selection of coffees and teas, so thank you, Polka, so much for sponsoring. The link also brought to you by Calvo Enterprises and IT&E at 6:29 on this, the last day of July. Oh, my goodness. August already. And it's going to be a hectic couple weeks for me because I got my boy's birthday today. And then August 15th, my oldest and my son Chase, they have the same birthday. So we're going to have a lot of birthdays. 6:30. Are you ready, Bree?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, let's do it. She's more than ready. Let's go ahead and start the day with a dive into the headlines from the KUAM news team. Again, good morning. Sabrina Salas Matanani.
Today, good morning, everyone. The Guam Department of Labor making a major announcement that the most recent batch of pandemic unemployment assistance payments has been paused due to the possibility of fraudulent claims getting paid out. The Guam Department of Labor attempts to batch payments for cleared unemployment claims each Tuesday, but there was too much suspicious activity from the batch for July 28th. This is a federal program. Rules are clear and concrete. People must understand that we don't have the ability to make judgments. Either you qualify according to federal rules or you don't. We have no latitude for judgments. According to Department of Labor Director David Della Sola, I also need to ensure we run one of the cleanest programs in the nation. He adds the Office of the Inspector General has projected about $26 billion in fraud across the nation. As much as possible, we are doubling our efforts to make sure our batches are as clean as possible and the money is getting out to our people and not to criminals. On top of the fraud measures already in place in the online application, the software vendor for the online app worked with GDOL to include new fraud filters to help the people of Guam continue to combat fraud. GDOL developed several new fraud filters. The application vendor says other states experience fraud throughout the nation, and they came up with 5 additional measures on top of what the department already has in place. Quote, I don't want to become like the states where the U.S. Department of Labor clamped down and crippled the processing of unemployment due to the amount of fraud cases getting through the system. We don't want the feds to think we're not paying attention to fraud and not taking it seriously. The department is working to ensure the most recent batch of cleared claims through July 8th is added to next week's batch. A new date will be announced at a later time. Based on new and substantial archaeological findings at 4 live fire training range sites in Northwest Field, Guam State Historic Preservation Officer Patrick Lujan has called for a temporary halt to any further construction at a 5th one. SHPO Lujan has invoked a stipulation of the 2015 agreement between Guam and the Defense Department and is calling for more surveys to be completed before work can start on a 5th firing range. In a letter to Rear Admiral John Manoni, the SHPO states, quote, the numerous findings of historical sites and human remains found can only confirm the deficiencies. I'm advising Joint Region Marianas to further collect information prior to the signing of any contracts for any construction. This should eliminate any potential conflicts and the destruction of historic properties. Lujan goes on to state that unlike the previous 4 firing range sites, the site designated for the Milcon multi-purpose machine gun has yet to be graded and cleared of forest and vegetation. As part of a resolution, the SHPO proposes establishing a site-specific pre-construction archaeological investigation plan to include features, isolated objects, and other relevant archaeological data. In a news release, Governor Lulian Guerrero said that the buildup needs to be done at a pace that benefits our people, and we must be our own advocates. Quote, unrelated federal and defense projects will not be affected by this temporary pause. Joint Region Marianas, in the meantime, reacts to the letter from the Guam SHPO. Quote, Joint Region Marianas says they are committed to upholding the requirements outlined in the programmatic agreement to protect and preserve cultural resources within lands under the Navy's care. We thank the Guam SHPO for his professionalism and willingness to engage in open dialogue with the Department of Defense through the stipulation process. That was from Marine Corps Base Camp Bloss Environmental Director Al Borja. He added the supplemental efforts have been a subject of discussion for some time. We believe a mutually agreeable outcome that is protective of resources is within reach for both parties. During the Port Board's meeting yesterday, Port General Manager Roy Respicio reported that the agency's finances are doing very well despite the ongoing global health crisis. Respicio adding that their overall spending year to date is 10% less, or $3.7 million in overall spending, or $3.7 million in cost avoidances. This means that despite the slight dip in revenues and cargo throughput amounting to $1.5 million lower than year-to-date revenue projections. The overall spending of 10% less actual versus budget, or $3.7 million, puts the port in a stable financial position. Senator Clint Ridgell has introduced Bill 387, which would amend the public health emergency law to allow digital contact tracing for island residents to supplement the current contact tracing for COVID-19 and future diseases that warrant a public health emergency. Quote, digital contact tracing applications are used in countries like Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan. These countries have all contained COVID-19 far better than the United States has. These three countries are also our source markets for tourism. If we ever expect to get tourists to come back to Guam, then we will need to assure them that we are a safe destination. Senator Sabina Perez meanwhile introduced Bill 386 to clarify emergency health powers, connecting it to procurement law. The legislation would create a public health emergency purchasing task force comprised of the public health director, DOA director, civil defense administrator, the HSA, the chief procurement officer, and the director of public works to oversee and track procurement during the emergency. The measure would also shore up the responsibilities of the chief procurement officer. As for the latest on containing COVID, the Joint Information Center has confirmed 3 more infections. 2 of those cases reported travel and were confirmed while in a quarantine facility. Contact tracing confirmed the 3rd case. In total, public health reports that 204 samples were tested Wednesday. The number of active cases on Guam is now 52, with the number of hospitalized now down to 2. Overall, there have been 354 confirmed COVID-19 cases since March 15th. Joining us now with regional headlines is our Tomas Menglonia. Good morning, Tomas.
Good morning, Bree and Chris. Here's the latest making news in the CNMI. The Commonwealth Healthcare Corporation announced 2 additional people are confirmed positive for COVID-19 on Saipan yesterday. This brings the total case count to 42 in the CNMI. The governor's task force says that both individuals were identified by travel screening and confirmed diagnosis through 5th-day protocol testing. The individuals have been safely in quarantine and removed to the designated isolation area for close monitoring. The press release stated. They add that CHCC has already initiated contact tracing for the most additional immediate contacts. They note that of the 42 cases now in the CNMI, 18 cases were identified through port of entry screening, such as the airport. And in related news, Pacific Islanders suffer some of the highest rates of COVID-19 infection in some American states and counties. We spoke with Dr. Reynolds Samoa in Southern California on the disproportionate impact on our communities. Take a listen.
In April, when we started to look at the numbers, we found out that in Oregon, they went from the highest to having the 2nd highest rates. In Washington State, in 3 out of the 5 counties there, Pacific Islanders have the highest rates of COVID-19. In Arkansas, they have the highest rates. In Illinois, they have the highest rates. In Colorado, they have the highest rates. Pretty much anywhere they're collecting data, they're reporting disaggregated data. They're seeing that Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islanders have the highest rates. And so there's a lot of reasons for that happening. And in some places, like Nevada, they started reporting Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islander rates and showed that they had the highest rates, almost 4 times that of the general population in Nevada. But the interesting thing about Nevada is that shortly after that, they started to combine the Pacific Islander numbers and the Asian numbers. And all of a sudden, the Pacific Islander data disappeared. So those are the kind of things we're working to improve.
Recent reports of disaggregated data show that Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islander communities are hit hard. The Los Angeles Times reported that in LA County alone, Pacific Islanders suffer the highest rate of infections of any racial or ethnic group, more than 2,500 per 100,000 residents. We'll have more on this weekend's KUAM News, where we speak with experts across the nation. Bring Chris, that's the latest making news here in the CNMI.
Thanks, Tomas. A sailor assigned to the USS Rafael Perlata is dead after an incident at Gap Gap Beach Thursday afternoon, according to Lieutenant Commander Rick Moore. He's the public affairs officer for Joint Region Marianas. At approximately 2:08 p.m., the sailor was pronounced deceased at U.S. Naval Hospital, Guam. The name of the sailor is being withheld until next of kin is notified. The cause of death is currently under investigation. The USS Rafael Perlata is moored in Guam for a scheduled visit. In national news, the number of Americans who died from the coronavirus has now surpassed 150,000. FEMA reports a 30% increase in deaths just last week. The surge comes as school districts make decisions about students and teachers returning to the classroom and as a tropical storm bears down on Florida. Dana Bacchus reports from Los Angeles.
Florida will close all of its state coronavirus testing sites later today as Tropical Storm Isaias churns in the Atlantic. This as Florida, along with Texas, California, North Carolina, and Idaho, hit a daily record for deaths Wednesday. The FDA is now saying it could approve a vaccine in a matter of weeks.
We would consider using an emergency use authorization if we felt that the risks associated with the vaccine were much lower than the risks of not having a vaccine.
The White House is now sending Dr. Stephen Hahn from the FDA and other top coronavirus task force officials to COVID hotspots. Dr. Deborah Birx visited southern states earlier this week and this morning discussed whether it's safe to send children back to school.
What we can do as Americans if we want our children back in school is we can help this country by everybody doing what the president has asked. Wear a mask, socially distance, avoid gatherings where you cannot socially distance and wear a mask.
Local leaders in viral epicenters like here in Los Angeles are planning to delay in-person learning. Other large school districts, including Philadelphia, Kansas City, and Indianapolis, are considering similar changes. Many working parents say distance learning is just too challenging.
Do I need to outsource other educational options just to make sure that my child is learning?
A new study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association shows that states that closed schools in the spring saw a drastic decrease in coronavirus cases and deaths. Danya Bacchus, CBS News, Los Angeles.
7-1 report, these days most transactions can be done online or through your financial institution's mobile app on your smartphone. Check your account balances online at any time. Often you can see deposits and charges that are pending, meaning they have not posted to your account yet. Consider whether you would like to continue to receive paper versions of your periodic statements and other documents. Your bank or credit union may prompt you to go paperless while you set up online banking. Most banks and credit unions allow you to set up automatic notifications to help you manage your account and alert you when any of the following happen. A direct deposit is received, a large payment is charged, your balance falls down below a certain amount, your account is in overdraft, and more. Often bank and credit union online portals offer you the ability to sign up to get these alerts via text, email, or both. These alerts can help ensure you stay informed without having to log into your account several times a day. Your financial institution may offer additional services to help you keep your account safe, including turning off your debit card if you suspect fraud. Check with your bank or credit union to learn more about additional protections they may offer. And that is your Banking 671 report, brought to you by the Bank of Guam and Coast 360. And finally, in our Decision 2020 series, later in the link, we will have our after-party portion of the program. And joining us to talk politics are Phil Leon Guerrero, Phil Flores, Mike Israel, and Muñeca de Oro. The after party gets started at 9 a.m. That is your news.
All right, thank you very much. Serena 643. Yeah, a bunch of technical hiccups, but just get the show on the road, and we'll bring on Jesse Mendiola. Now, Jesse, if you guys follow him on Facebook, and he's also if you're a fan of KUAM News, you're able to do a great interview with him about his journey on recovery. And we were talking yesterday. I was like, man, what do I put as your title? And me and you were kicking around like, oh, concerned citizen or something. Then I texted Jess and I was like, how is recovery activist? Do you like the sound of that? And he was like, yeah, I like the sound of that, man. So, so let's bring on recovery activist Jessie Mendiola. Good morning, Jess.
Hi, Jess.
Oh wait, that's my.
Is he there?
Is that you, Jess?
Yes. Hello.
Hi. Good
there you are, buddy.
morning.
Right on.
Hi.
Hi. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you guys for having me on the show.
You're right.
Always a pleasure.
So we watched your testimony during the hearing, and we're going to play it after the call. I know you're a working man and getting ready to clock in, so we just want to ask. You testified against this bill. Is it 226?
Mm-hmm.
And this is
I testified in support of the bill.
Right, in support of the bill. And wow, you were a little bit outnumbered as we saw the game rooms come out in force. They had the game room owners. They had the game room employees. They had, the game room supporters. So I guess just first of all, Jess, Guam being a very small community, this is a very divisive issue. What was it like to go in there and to not just give testimony, but to give the type of testimony that you did, just a few feet away from, people who probably wanted to wring your neck for saying what you said?
When I pulled in to the legislature, I saw a number of people outside with protesting signs. And I was like, oh, great, we got people in support of the bill. Then when I read the signs, I was like, oh, no. It's like parting the Red Sea. So I walked in there. I told myself, you know what, I got myself into this. I got to see this through. Because though there are 20, 50, 75 people out here, I'm speaking for the silent voices of thousands of people out there. Not just the addicts, but those who are affected indirectly because of these game rooms. Mm-hmm. So I held my head leveled, and I walked in there. I sat down, and as these individuals were clapping for the testimonies of their colleagues or their friends, I was beside myself. I was beside myself because of the, I don't want to say ignorance, even though ignorance would be a great word. I would rather use uneducated. Because of the uneducated individuals that were giving testimony, they're not as keen to what mental health issues and addiction and gambling brings to the island. There's no way to avoid the ripple effect of damage that is caused by this whole issue. That's a given. On one hand, we have people who will lose jobs and government lose revenue. Then on the other hand, we have thousands of souls feeding their addiction and even tens of thousands affected indirectly because of these game rooms by way of crime and further enabling the increasing rate of addiction.
Yeah, Jess, it's I went on a ride along with the criminal justice task force one night, and it's crazy because when I was going around, and these are seasoned officers, man. These are guys that have done all kinds of busts. They put in decades in the department. Part of our rounds were going around the areas where there were game rooms because it's exactly like you said in your testimony. These are areas where people are using drugs, selling drugs. They're gambling, trying to double the drug profits to get more drugs, and it's just a bad situation all around. And to hear it, and I'm really surprised that we didn't see anybody from or maybe I missed it, the Guam Police Department. That would have been really interesting to have some testimony from them. But I really feel like there's some very powerful political forces at play here.
Yes, let me chime into that.
Okay.
I mentioned in my testimony, I said, not to offend anybody, but could it be that political contributions are being made to these senators? And that is without a doubt the case here, because the people have spoken against these game rooms, and I don't want to attribute the game rooms' existence to loopholes, because let's keep it real. It's the deep pockets of these owners of these establishments that are contributing to these senators who have the power to legislate things. So they're basically, in essence, asking them to turn the other cheek.
Right.
And it's so sad that each public servant began office with altruistic views to help the people of Guam and better the island. Yet over the course of their term, they've lost their way. They've lost what they really stood for. Most importantly, their integrity was bought just to lengthen their pockets. Because senators don't make much money. They make, $55,000 a year?
Right.
Yet when they leave office, their net worth is upward $250,000, $500,000, some even $1 million.
Jess, it's interesting that you talk about the donations, but I think in some cases, these the game room industry, if you will, they don't have to donate to people because they actually have, well, let's just be real, Senator Shelton is very closely related to the, at least one of the game room families. You've got other senators who, I mean, it's just obvious that there's a lot of political force behind this, which again, I want to go back to you having the courage to go in there and to give this testimony that we're about to play, Jess. So I guess just in closing, we had the hearing. Moving forward in an election season, what would your message be to our elected leaders who are looking at this? And I see the writing on the wall. And when you talk about political forces at play, I think there are deals that have been made, and this is something that we could see pass the legislature and go into law. So,
my message is this to the upcoming election season, to the leaders. You can no longer play on the arrogance of the people of Guam, because what you see as arrogance, we see as ignorance. And we're going to hold you accountable for that ignorance. So come November, come the primary and the general, the people of Guam should go out there, voice their concerns, and let it be known, because there are a lot of silent people suffering, and they don't have the courage to speak up. But the multitude of voices, one voice can create a domino effect that is of tsunami proportions that can make change. And that's what I intend to do. I don't seek no accolades. I'm not running for any political office, and I don't need any praise. I'm doing this because our people are suffering in so many different ways, and I empathize with many different struggles. Mental health issues are not a joke. Resources need to be directed to areas like that, not because of the monetary gain. We as a people need to exhibit more compassion for our brothers and sisters. That's what I got to say.
Well, thank you, Jesse. And that kind of really goes to, I know what you're talking about. There was a lot of people who were saying like, hey, this is a choice. If these people want to gamble away their house, or if they want to try and roll their drug money to get more drug money, that's on them. It's a little cold, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's kind of like 2% of the population that say that.
Right. Okay, so Jess, have a great weekend. Thanks.
You too.
Let's make this a regular thing, man. I really enjoy your viewpoint, and we'd like to get you on here a little more frequently.
You guys have a blessed day. God bless you guys.
Take care, Jess.
All right.
Okay. Bye.
All right. And so, to be fair, we will play Jess's testimony, but I wanted to get this, the other side of the debate, as there was, I thought it was interesting, is that most of the people who testified in support or against this bill, I'm sorry, it was a little, so they were either owners or employees or,
So, yeah, Bill 226, for those of you who aren't familiar, it was introduced by Vice Speaker Talina Nelson. It had a public hearing earlier this week, and it would repeal law that allows for gambling and other sorts of activities like that at the Liberation Carnival and other fairs and island fairs, that is. What it also does is that these are the only sort of limited gaming activities that would be authorized on Guam. That includes bingo or lottery that is conducted by a tax-exempt nonprofit organization. Cockfighting is that is conducted at a licensed cockpit, and that all wagers are present in the cockpit. And it would completely remove and would discontinue all other limited gaming activities. So that's where I guess the game rooms are really concerned about how it's going to impact their businesses.
Right.
And people like Gil Shinahara, who is an owner of a game rooms, and John Ryan, who is also a co-owner of Game Room. They were pointing out during the public hearing that, they pay their taxes, they do the reports, submit the records that they need to do, but there are other like nonprofit organizations that don't, and they back that up by stating that audits have been done. So let's go ahead and run a portion of John Ryan's testimony.
Bill 226 is a direct assault on an industry that has been a part of this
I'm not here to deny the fact that these game rooms generate a huge revenue for the island. I'm here to amplify the souls of the people that it's stealing.
Bill 226 is a direct assault on an industry that has been a part of this island for decades, including one company that has been in business since 1949. It would put them and many other locally owned and operated small businesses out of business. The licensed electronic gaming businesses on this island are not casino operators. Game rooms are not casinos. Indeed, anyone who is operating a casino game on this island is doing so underground, in the shadows, and illegally. The people who patronize these illegal renegade operators do so at their own risk. Together, these illegal underground operators and their patrons cheat the rest of the people of Guam out of millions in taxes. But let's set aside for a minute what's happening underground and illegally. Let's take a look at who this legislation singles out for protection while eliminating other forms of gaming. More than 90% of all money that is taken in by our machines is returned to players. Can the nonprofit operators of bingo games who would be protected and kept in business by this legislation, and while we are forced out of business, say the same thing? We don't know, because the Office of Public Accountability has said, quote, DRT does not maintain a record of nonprofit operators' gross income, closed quote. How, on one hand, can a bill be introduced to kill off an industry that is fully licensed, does everything above ground and with absolute transparency, while at the same time gives shelter to operators whose income, payouts, and tax liabilities are not even tracked? It's incomprehensible. Allow me to repeat again from the OPA. DRT does not maintain a record of nonprofit operators' gross income. Think about that. If the goal is to truly create accountability and fairness, maybe a good place to begin would be closer to home, within the very government for which this lawmaking body sets policy. Or if that is not the goal, then please be direct. What is the motivation behind Bill 226? Today you will hear, I'm sure, about the bona fide and verified economic impact of our industry on this community. Mr. Shinohara just did a very good job of eloquating a lot of that. From the millions in taxes we collect for the government to the millions we spend with other companies in the private sector. I would like to know if nonprofit bingo and other games achieve the same results. We have become a convenient scapegoat.
You heard from Jess Manjola, so here is a portion of his testimony during the public hearing on Bill 226.
Deny the fact that these game rooms deny the fact that these game rooms generate a huge revenue for the island. I'm here to amplify the souls of the people that it's stealing from. And that's my purpose here. I am against these game rooms for the simple fact that I would like to see the crime statistics from the inception of this pandemic up until this point and see how many robberies have decreased. I have robbed game rooms myself. I was arrested for it and I was incarcerated for it. Now that's a powerful testimony coming from somebody who's lived there. I walked into a game room and I violently took their money. Yeah, game rooms provide revenue for Guam, but it also steals a lot of souls. You think the employees are safe there? Employees are not safe there. They say gambling is a choice. In the beginning, it's a choice. In the beginning, it's a choice. Over time, you know what they're targeting? They're targeting the impoverished, the people in poverty. Because if they had restrictions, let's say hypothetically speaking, you put $300 cap to enter that game room. Then only serious people will enter that game room and play. But by taking the last few dollars of somebody who's going to hit it big, I've seen people lose their houses. I've seen marriages. Oh, that person that I robbed, that $4,995, that was the mother of my kids. She left me immediately after that. And by far, that was probably the best decision she's ever made because it took another 18 years for me to get my act together. You know, so the byproduct of these game rooms, it's a cascading effect. Yes, it's a domino effect, right? If you shut down these game rooms, there's going to be a lot of revenue loss. But think of how many people would no longer be controlled by their vice. It's like the game room is the dealer and I'm the addict. It's the same theory when I was a drug dealer and I'm dangling a half a gram in front of an addict. I didn't care for them. I wanted their money. I could justify I got to pay my rent, I got to pay my bills, my power. But the fact of the matter is, I was complicit in their addiction.
There you go. Recovery activist Jess Mendiola and his testimony in support of Bill 226 at the Guam legislature. It's a lot of interesting points, Bree raised. You know, one of them is one of the game room owners, Gil Shinahara, had said that the referendums that a lot of our elected leaders hold out as evidence that our people are against all types of gambling. Those referendums dealt specifically with casino gaming and slot machines, right?
and Guam Greyhound,
right?
When they were trying to get gambling at their facility. And
I mean, I think that's just a little bit of a stretch. So, what do you guys want us to do? Do we need to go have a referendum on the game rooms? Do we need to go have a referendum on pachinko? Do we need to go have a referendum on Bito Bito? We're going to go have a referendum on pay red, pay yellow, pay blue. I mean, just to satisfy that argument? Is that what? It's a 6:59. There's a whole lot of stuff going on this morning on the show. We've got the interim president. Talk about a promotion, going from a governor to a president of the Guam Visitors Bureau. Former Governor Carl Gutierrez coming in and talk about the tourism reopening. We got the Port General Manager Roy Respicio. And also the Chukis Association of Guam is making a call here for your assistance in an ongoing contact tracing investigation. So we'll talk to them. We've also got Lacia Casil from the Agatnia Revitalization and was it Agatnia? It's HRRA. Okay, and there was a little thing that Vice Speaker Talina Nelson had said in I think it was the that hearing there where she had said that, talking about priorities, she had said something like, "Oh, HRA revitalizing Agatnia is nice, but." And so I think that Lacia Casil is the executive director of HRA, might have taken offense to that. And so she'll be on. And we've got public health to talk a little bit about the child care CARES funds. But first, there was a late development yesterday out of the State Historic Preservation Office. So that being said, we want to bring on the SHPO, Patrick Lujan, to the show. Good morning, Pat.
Hi, Pat. Can you hear us, Pat? There, we can hear you.
Hold on a second, Pat. Let's. He's not coming out on the board.
Can you hear me? We can hear you. Maybe you should turn up his mic, or.
Is your mic on, Pat?
Yeah. No, he's coming out.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Barely.
Yeah, barely.
Go ahead and Pat. Can you hear?
There you go.
There.
Yeah. All right. There you are.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yes.
Oh, very loud and clear.
Definitely.
Good morning.
Wow. Yeah, we can definitely hear you, Pat. Let's just go ahead and get started. The invocation of Stipulation 13.
Yeah. Based on new and substantial archaeological findings.
Right. Can we just first, Pat, because we don't know, there aren't any pictures that we have seen. Can you describe for us, to the best of your ability, the types of significant discoveries that were made that prompted you invoking Stipulation 13?
All right, so this is good morning, by the way.
Good morning,
Bree, Jason, DC. So over the last year since I've been in the office, obviously the live firing range has been ongoing up at Northwest Field. Now going back again to previous disturbance of the Northern Plateau, there's evidence and pictures of post-World War II of complete flattening of the Northern Plateau. Since then, over the last, 50, 60, 70 years, there's been vegetation growth that's come about. Now, with the clearing of the firing ranges, obviously the first 4 that's been ongoing, we've had obvious findings of cultural resources, some sherds, some different aspects of cultural findings. So since they have not yet done the 5th and final and largest firing range, we've called for them to resurvey it in a more extensive manner based off of what we've been finding in the first 4 firing ranges.
Right.
So that was the concept of invoking the Stipulation 13.
Right, Pat. So I heard that they had found a complete Latte era set of remains. Are you able to tell us anything about that?
Yeah, I think that was in the Marine Cantonment, the Magua area, which is further south of the live firing range. So a lot of times people get the two mixed up as far as, the Marine Cantonment, which will be Camp Blas, as compared to the live firing ranges. That's a little bit north over at Northwest Field.
Can you just tell us what are the 4 live fire training range sites?
I'm sorry?
Can you tell us what are the 4 live fire training range sites?
It's all in the vicinity of the Northwest Field.
Mm-hmm.
So right above Arunau, you have most of the clearing done with the first 4 firing ranges, and those are the smaller ranges, with the biggest one yet to come.
Pat, could you tell us a little bit about the process now that you've invoked STIP 13? It's a 45-day period. Just start at the beginning. What's the next step for you and Joint Region?
So basically, it's no surprise to Joint Region that I've issued this. I've been in discussion with them for quite some time. So they're aware that the probability of invoking STIP 13 is real. And they also understand we've had open dialogue for them to understand the position of my office of why we'd like to do that. So, again, open dialogue with them. And so they were not surprised by the letter yesterday. I'm hoping that within the 45-day consultation period, so to speak, that, we can have a resolution and they would be in agreement with the call for a resurvey. If not, then as stated in the letter, that it will go to the advisory council for determination.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell us where are these artifacts that were found at the 4 historical sites and the human remains? Where are they being stored?
So the artifacts are being stored at the at a secured area that the Marine Corps has developed. So it's secured under the control of their archaeologists, the Marine Corps archaeologists, also the Air Force. So it's a combination of the two because the Air Force is really still overseeing the live firing range, even though it's going to be used for the Marines. And then MCAG, Marine Corps of Guam, is concentrating on the cantonment site.
Mm-hmm. Do you know how many remains or artifacts have been discovered?
Yeah, so the remains that we have, that's at Camp Blas. So they're up to 4 human remains, burials, that they have not removed or touched. And we're actually in dialogue with them to keep those in place and to respectfully, so we're actually notionalizing a monument where they will not be removed. And then all the artifacts that's been found at the cantonment, they're planning to do like a visitor center display,
like a repository
at the entrance.
Yeah. Pat, so when you talk about preserving in place these uncovered remains, how much of a sticking point is that, and how would it affect the ongoing construction for these firing ranges? And do you think that this is something that you can get the military to agree to?
So the burials, the remains is again over at the cantonment, right? So it's a different location from the firing ranges. So those are, I think we're fairly much in agreement that those are going to remain in place. As far as the firing range, again, once the area was cleared back in decades ago, the probability of finding a complete set of, let's say, LADI sets within this upcoming 5th range, we don't know. The probability is probably low because we have evidence of a mass clearing once upon a time, right? But then we don't know, and hence what we've learned in the first 4 rounds of the firing ranges, where there was an initial assumption of not finding too much. Obviously that was not the case. Right. So we'd like to do a comprehensive study before anything is done in that area.
Pat, so we have 45 days to negotiate this. That comprehensive study that you're talking about, how long would this take?
It all depends on the amount of resources that they put in. You know, that question was actually posed to me from the front office, and I said it could take, you know, maybe as quickly as 30 days and as long as 90 days. That's my quick guess on it. Again, depending on how much resources was put in and how much they find, you know, because the more they find, obviously, the more it's gonna take.
I'm good.
Oh, you're good? Oh, okay. So Pat, I don't know, we're trying to get the pause of the clearing, but while we're doing that, are we confident that there aren't other areas that could have, you know, burials and artifacts that maybe we're going to miss while we're focusing on this? Because other construction is going to continue, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's always a possibility. The findings of the burials over at the Marine Cantonment was unexpected, and so, you know, there's always that possibility of finding it, and it changes the dynamics of the whole approach. So, you know, those findings were fairly significant, still being studied as we speak, and so, you know, we just don't know. We want to do a thorough and correct job when it comes to the last and final range that they're planning.
Right. How about on our end, the resources, right? Because I just kind of feel like it's you and you've got like, what, 2-3 other staff. Do we have the manpower, you know, and the money that we need for you guys to go in there and, you know, police what's going on?
Yeah, it's definitely a struggle. You know, we're you know, just like so many other, you know, agencies that are required to you know, in the permitting business, you know, it's a struggle to keep on top of everything. You know, my staff is wonderful. You know, we do what we can. John Mark Joseph has been amazing, and his staff. Obviously, there's need for more. I've been in dialogue with Senator Terlahi, you know, with the governor, and trying to get a little bit more assistance to be even more proactive than what we are and what we have. So, you know, great question. Good thing to bring it up. You know, we're you know, it's a little bit of a struggle, but we're finding ways to you know, stay on top of things.
Okay, Pat, I think I know you got a bunch of stuff going on, but thanks. And let's make it a regular thing. If you could give us an update on the next thing that happens, we'd love to bring you on again.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks a lot, guys.
Okay,
Thanks for having me.
Shippo, Pat Lujan there at 7-Eleven. Very interesting development that I'm sure, well, I know a bunch of my, the chats were just blowing up last night. You know what I mean? So that's pretty interesting to me, Bree, that going back to Linda Uggan, and she was about to pull the trigger on this exact same thing that Shippo Pat Lujan just did. Remember, they were saying, she was going to invoke stipulation. I interviewed her on it.
Yep.
She was going to invoke stipulation 13, and that kind of prompted the whole whirlwind of events that led to her termination, and I'm sure you guys know. So I just think it's pretty interesting that, you know, we removed Linda Uggan, who obviously had so many concerns, and I almost feel like, because I know, to me, it's pretty clear she's been validated by this, you know, the invocation of stipulation 13 by the very gentleman who replaced her. So definitely pray for transparency in this process. It's 7:12. Hey, we're going to take a short break. It's The Link on the Breeze 93.9, Biba Betness, and it's proudly brought to you by Polka, distributed by Ambrose Inc., as you can see here. To the right of Sabrina Salas Mantanani, we have our Polka pyramid, if you will. All right. And also brought to you by IT&E and Calvo Enterprises. We are back with more of The Link on the Breeze.
Over the next few months, you may receive a call on
Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
We got your 6.
At 6 a.m. with The Link on Breeze 93.9 FM. Bree and I connect you with all the latest news and information you need to know to start your day.
Then check back with Guam's news leader at 6 p.m. for the day's top headlines with KUAM News Primetime.
From 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and everything else in between with KUAM Digital, we got your 6.
What's the matter with your mind and your side? And
ya? Hey, good morning. It's Friday. Friday, whoa! Viva Betness! Right here on the link, Breeze 93.9. So excited to kick off, bring it back, run it again, the after party.
Yeah.
Hey, good morning. There's so many ways to catch the show. Right now, I want to send a special Viva Betness shout out to all of our viewers on KUAM TV 11. Good morning on you. I'm also right here on the Breeze 93.9, where your go-to jam is always. Coming up next, good morning. Docomo, Channel 10, there's an audio stream, KUAM.com. And last but definitely not least, thank you so much for the support on the Edward R. Murrow award-winning social media networks of KUAM on our KUAM News Facebook feed. Good morning, it's 7:21. Let's get back to the Zoom feed here and bring on Elsa Perez from the Department of Public Health and Social Services. A long time coming here for these the CARES Act funds that are going to be made available to child care providers. Bree running this story back. I think there was a Facebook post from Congressman St. Nicholas where he had called out the inaction really with these funds, and we've interviewed a bunch of child care providers on this show. And so that they've now finalized all the application process and the rules and regs and whatnot. And that being said, that's why we're bringing on Elsa to talk about the process here. So good morning, Elsa.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. So today is the first day, right, that people can apply?
Correct.
Right, okay.
Yes, the announcement should be on the paper today.
Right. So, okay, so take us through the process.
Okay, so a licensed childcare provider or licensed exempt provider can request through our office for an application packet, or they can email our office. We have an email address, which is childcare@dphss.guam.gov. They can request for an application packet. Once the packet is complete, they can drop it off or they can email it to us. The application is due, the final submission date is August 31st.
And so what is the, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, who can apply? This is just for child care, daycare facility owners. And what is the money supposed to be used for?
Those who can apply are licensed child care providers or CCDF or licensed exempt providers. And some calls that we've been receiving, they wanted to get clarification. So is it only providers who have children who are under the CCDF program? And no, that's not the case. If you don't, or you've never had children under the block grant or CCDF, you're still eligible to apply.
And how much funding total is out there for eligible recipients, and how much should each facility expect to receive if approved?
Okay, so the CARES Act, it's a supplemental grant to the CCDF block grant, was $6.4 million. So individuals or providers who apply, they can apply up to 100,000. It's up to 100,000, meaning depending on their type of documentation, verification of type of expenses they anticipate would be what we would determine the grant amount. So it doesn't necessarily mean you want 100,000 that you would get 100,000. It needs to be justified as to the amount to get.
And is there any type of post-award audit process that's going to go on for these the grants?
Oh, yes, definitely. That's the reason why we wanted to ensure that, all of our I's are dotted and T's are crossed, because although it seems like a very easy grant to give out, it sounds very giving. The requirements are very stringent. So that's the reason we're wanting to make sure, should we get audited, everyone will be in place to include the applicants.
How many applicants are you guys anticipating?
Well, right now we do have 47 licensed providers. So if there are more that become licensed, then it's possible there will be more. That's what we're looking at.
Okay. Is there any sort of what sort of information do they need to provide when they apply, like documents or things like that?
So what we're looking at is initially when they apply, they're going to need to submit the justification as to the expenditures they anticipate that they will be encountering throughout the term of the grant. And we're looking at the grant going up to September 2021. So that's like, depending on when the sub-grant is signed, if it, let's say, for example, it's signed in August or September, maybe it'll be like 12 months disbursement. So we're looking at monthly disbursement. So we are needing receipts to, documentation on the type of expenses. And if we go back and say, well, we need to verify, are these expenses real, valid? The expenses also need to be, and also in addition to that, they're going to need to get a DUNS number. So there is a process. The DUNS number is a requirement for an entity of there to get a sub-grant. And we've went back and forth on this with our grantor because it is a different process. We're hoping that it only would take 2 days. We give all the instructions on how to apply for that. But it is a requirement in order for us to disperse or in order to make this type of grant available.
Elsa, you're giving people a month to apply now after the application process closes. What's the timeline from that to people getting money?
Okay. With regards to getting the money, so once the application is turned in, so we're looking at August 31st, that's the due date. Once the application is turned in, we would review it and then submit it for, there's documents that would need to be signed. The final signing off on the sub-award or sub-grant would be the governor's signature. Once it's signed, then the money could be dispersed. Once we get the justification documents, we review it. We look at, we give ourselves like 30 days. If anything, if we can disperse it earlier than the 30 days, then we'll do that. But we have a time frame of 30 days for the first disbursement.
Right. So it's 30 days from the time that the application is processed, or 30 days after the deadline of the August 31st that we would see checks.
Because upon the deadline, then there's also the review of the application, and then actual signing off of the documents of the grant, and then review of the justification of their expenses, and then we would disperse.
Also, how would you answer those, very valid criticisms that people had that it just took too long and we got the money in April, here we are, April, May, June, July, 4 months. So if you could, and I'm not asking you to, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but maybe give us a little insight and tell us why did it take so long?
Yes, we're always getting asked that. So it was, the process really took a long time in that because we were really going back and forth. A lot of it, we had conversations with the federal counterparts, both our fiscal and our program counterparts. Plus, we were getting guidance because the program side we also had to ensure that on our program side, that if we require something, it's also applied in policy. So the transformation from where we started initially, when we planned this, it was 50,000 then the application transformed several times. The language transformed so much because some of our language wasn't tight, meaning, and when we say tight, not tight in the sense that we want it to be difficult, tight in the sense that we are meeting the requirements of the grant to ensure that should we get audited, should our grantee get audited, you know, our docs are in place. So yes, it did take a long time, but the packet itself, if we have a 95-page reference guide, it's really wasn't an easy, it's not a simple grant. The requirements itself was very complicated, at least for me. I'm not, and this is the first time for me to do actually a sub-award. So going through this process was very different. I've been through RFPs. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm not making any excuses, but for me, that's what took it so long. I needed to make sure what we were doing was correct.
Right.
And so that's
right.
the reason for
Thanks for that, Elsa. So, 30-day application period. Are you confident that these child care providers are going to be able to go out and get everything they need in order to apply for this, which you just said it's a complicated process? Are we anticipating in any way extending that deadline like they did with other, programs that involved the disbursement of CARES Act funds?
You know, I don't want to say that meaning to extend the application date.
Right, because people are saying, oh, it took 4 months to get it, and now we got a month to apply. Which I mean, and on the flip side, it's very easy for people to say like, oh, well, if you need it, what's the holdup? But then again, you're saying on your own end that they got to have this, they got to have that, they got to get everything in order. So I'm just wondering if they have enough time to put in a good, clean application in 30 days.
Oh, that's my boss Tess calling me.
Oh.
Okay, sorry about that.
Are you in trouble?
I want to be flexible, but at the same time, I don't want to say, yes, we will, yes, we won't.
Right.
A lot of the things that have been coming out of our office or has not even come out of our office has been misinterpreted. So at this point in time, I like to just see how the flow goes. Okay. And if necessary, based on I would have to get the authorization.
Right. No, I get you, Elsa. I know you're probably just thinking like, Lynette, it's our first day and already asking if they're going to extend. I just had to get it out there. So,
but that's a good question.
Right. Is there anywhere people, the child care providers who are listening to this, how do they go find out more information?
So if they have any questions, they can actually email it to us. We would prefer the questions be submitted to us in writing. That way we can compile to the questions if they're similar, and we will respond back in writing. So that email address that I had mentioned, the childcare at dphss.guam.gov, that's the email for our providers or anyone who's interested in getting an application. That's the link or email they should use.
Real quickly before we let you go, can you just provide us? You were talking about how these child care providers have to provide information about their expenses. What are approved expenses?
The expenses need to be reasonable, necessary. This is what we have in our documentation, and allocatable as it relates to the child care facility. So as long as the expenses relate back to their operation as a child care facility, then those, and they can justify those expenses, then that's reasonable enough for us to count towards their requests. Right. I don't know if I answered your question.
I mean, maybe some specific examples. So we saw when the government of Guam first got the CARES Act funding, there were a lot of purchases made for like teleworking, laptops and the big TVs. So are you saying that the child care providers will be able to make these types of expenses as long as they're able to somehow say that it's justified because they need, the big screen TV so the kids can watch Dora or whatever?
Yeah, well, it's justified also in documentation. Let's say, for example, they're saying they're going to be paying their mortgage, and this is just an example. The facility is partly their home and the daycare. Then they need to justify what percentage of that mortgage is going to be applicable to the facility. I hope that answers your question.
All right, thanks, Elsa. We're going to let you go. Any final comments? Any other information you wanted to get out?
No, but just thank you to all the providers. Finally, it's here, and we're ready to take in those applications and do the best we can.
All right,
All
thanks
right,
a
Elsa.
lot.
Thank you so much, Elsa. Have a great
Thank
weekend.
you.
Thank you for joining
Thank
us
you.
and going to work early.
Okay,
Very nice to
thank
talk
you.
to you. Okay.
Okay, bye-bye.
Are you in trouble with Tess? Do we get you in trouble? Because I don't want to get you in trouble.
I don't think so.
Okay. Okay.
You're very kind.
Okay. You just tell
Take care.
if Tess gets mad, tell her godson Chris said, never mind. It's okay.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Anybody who has any questions or needs more information or go and apply, the email again is childcare@dphss.guam.gov.
All right. Let's take a short break, and we're coming back with. We'll line up for the close out the rest of this hour. We have Lacia Casil from Agatni Revitalization and Nick Lee from the Guam Environmental Protection Agency. Both coming up here on the link right here on the Breeze 93.9. Good morning.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
CBS Primetime Tonight kicks off at 8 with Young Sheldon, The Unicorn, back-to-back episodes of Mom and NCIS Los Angeles, followed by The Late Show with Stephen Colbert at 11 and The Late Late Show with James Corden, only KUAM TV 11. This primetime lineup.
Anderson Air Force Base. We are experiencing some unknown electrical disturbances. Do you copy? Sir, you're breaking up.
Let it be known we
rep Guam and the scene of mine. Let it be known we represent the island line. Yeah, let it be known we living out our dream. We keep our eyes on the prize and fulfill our destiny. Let it be known we rep Guam and the scene of mine. Let it be known we represent the island line. Yeah, let it be known we living out our dream. We keep our eyes on the prize and fulfill our destiny. Creeping around the corner, pulling my flag.
That's right, Anderson Air Force Base. We're coming for our remains.
We want our repository.
Yeah, 740. Laddie Stone soldiers. Oh, boy. Good morning at 740. Man, we're just bumping all local music here on.
Gosh.
I'm going to play Zeng Zung next.
Okay. Get ready.
Get ready.
We got to get the Jason cam ready.
Yeah, we do, man. The twerk. 740. Let's get Lacia Casil from Gotnia Revitalization on here by way of Zoom. Good morning, Lacia.
Good morning. How are you?
Morning.
You look great.
Buenas.
This is so.
You guys are bouncing. Oh.
We were just fangirling over your hair. I had to fix my hair after I looked at you. So, Lacia, we just wanted to...
I just rolled out of bed. I don't know.
Yeah, right. Okay. So you woke up like that. Okay, Lacia, so the Vice Speaker, Talina Nelson, it was kind of like a little aside that she had talked about in the hearing. I know it was, the conversation was really about the gambling, but she kind of just threw in that the Gotnia Revitalization was not shouldn't be a priority. And I know you took offense to that, and you kind of have been, that person who's always trying to just, be on the defensive about why revitalizing Hagåtña as a long-term strategy is important. So we just wanted to get you on, and if you could just, I don't know if it's the right word to ask you to justify Hagåtña revitalization as a priority, but, for lack of a better way to put it, please do.
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me on here. I appreciate, the platform. I just want to start off with saying, I personally empathize with the senator. I think that's very important that we address the opioid problem, drug problem, addiction problem here on Guam. I personally have family members that are affected by this. Members of my own LGBTQ community are affected by this. So I think it's very important. But I felt a little bit dismissed at the importance of what we're trying to do as well. There are short-term strategies and long-term strategies. And revitalizing and restoring Hagåtña is a long-term strategy, that's going to save us millions of dollars in taxpayer money that can go to other public services like treating drug addiction, or Guam Police Department or Fire Department, other services like that. Just off the top of my head, Gov Guam is we're paying $12 million per annum in rent to the private sector. And if we were to centralize our government, build the land resources building, which I'm working on right now, and administration buildings for the senators, we could save up to $6 million per annum in rent that can go to other services. And once we do have that critical mass of bodies in Hagåtña, we centralize in the government, which is a priority of the governor, the Leon Guerrero Tenorio administration. Once we have that critical mass down in Hagåtña, that'll pave the way for further economic opportunities. We'll have to have services for all the government workers in Hagåtña, restaurants, more tourist attractions, cafes, markets, more revenue generating opportunities that will go back into the community. There are things like that I think kind of she missed out on as an agency. I understand that this is dire times, and we've taken austerity measures here at HRA. We didn't get much money last year for our agency. In fact, we got zero for equipment. Everything that we have is borrowed. I'm working off my own personal laptop for the past year and a half. but we've been able to source a lot of our own furniture this year through private donations from the private sector. And we've saved tens of thousands of dollars of taxpayer money by just utilizing our network and being resourceful. One other thing I wanted to say is that HRA does have a dedicated funding source. It's never been implemented in the 23 years that we've existed. And I'll just read this off the law. It says all taxes assessed, levied, and collected by the government of Guam by virtue of the real property tax law on improvements, buildings, and structures to be constructed within Agatna over and above the real estate taxes currently assessed, levied, and collected. That's the year that this law came into place, which is 1997.
So, Lacia, do you have maybe like a guesstimate of how much money that funding source that you say hasn't been implemented would provide for HRA?
Well, right now there seems to be a lapse in reporting. We're working with Department of Revenue and Tax and DPW and Land Management to assess that. And right now they've submitted to us only 15 properties on their list that are paying taxes. And there's got to be more than 15 properties that have been built or improved upon since 1997. So this is a priority. And I went into this in a lot of detail in my presentation to the legislature, our budget presentation. I went into that, and it's going to take a bit of manpower to assess that. And, if we're not funded, we can't figure this out. I only had one staffer until December of last year. Then we had an AO come in, another planner, and then COVID hit. So we're playing catch up. But I think that it was misleading for her to say that we shouldn't be funded. I think in the long term, that this is going to benefit our island greatly. Another source of funding is through federal grants. Most of the projects that we want to implement, we've included in the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy. And that allows us to maximize the economic development potential by engaging with the US EDA and other federal partners to receive infrastructural and technical assistance grants. So, for instance, right now we're commencing with the Hagatna River feasibility study, and initially that was going to cost $3 million. And our portion of that was going to be 1.2 million. GovGuam was going to have to pay, but this administration, the governor, was able to have that fee waived. So the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is going to shoulder that entire cost, saving the taxpayers $1.2 million. So we're being as resourceful as we can. We do have a dedicated funding source. The senator, she wasn't there during our presentation. I'd be happy to sit down with her and go over all of this. But I just want everyone to know that we do have a dedicated funding source. It's not like we're asking money to be moved from one section to another.
Lacia, how would you with that dedicated funding source, right? So taking those taxes from all the Agatna things is going to take that money away from the general fund, right? So are you confident that would be, again, the best use of the resources now that we're in this post-COVID cash crunch that could extend into well beyond next year?
Well, like I said, I think that, developing and constructing these particular buildings is going to save us millions of dollars in rent. Just the land resources building and administrative buildings, the senatorial buildings. More than half the senators right now are out in the private sector paying rent in private buildings. We could have a building built for them on government land that would save rent and increase efficiency.
How soon, though, are we going to be looking at, like, when the dirt is going to be turned and we're actually going to start building?
Can you repeat that?
How soon till we break ground? Because I think a lot of the reason why you get so much flack is that this is something that's been in existence for a couple decades, and now we're jumping back in it, firing it up, and, you know, who knows, are we still a couple decades away from, you know, breaking ground on any of the big projects that we have planned to revitalize the Gatineau?
Well, I'm working on an MOA with Department of Land Management right now to take the lead on the land resources building. We have the plans. They just need to be updated. Most of the funding is already there. Working with GITA to source the balance that we would need. This is definitely a priority. I think the governor wants us to break ground within the next, you know, couple of years on this project, and I think that's going to pave the way and kind of be the light at the end of the tunnel. You know, not to mention also, I think developing and restoring Hagatna will instill a sense of pride in our people. You'll remember what Hagatna was like during FestPac. How many people were there, the bodies. Right. There's just this sense of cultural engagement and pride and energy. And I think that's going to emanate from Hagatna out to all the other villages, and I think it's a positive thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, we sit around all day and we complain that the government of Guam doesn't do any long-term planning, and then when we try and do long-term planning, everyone, you know, to bite your head off. So I get it. I get what we're trying to do with Hagatna, and I understand the long-term benefits. I think the question is, can we afford those long-term benefits now in this short-term cash crunch? But hey, I mean, pretty sure you guys will figure that out. Lacia, man, I want to thank you for coming on, and let's kind of make this a regular thing. I think that, you know, the more you get out here and plead your case, the easier it'll be for you to get that support that you need, you know, maybe even from your own oversight chair.
All right. Thanks, Chris.
Hey, have a good weekend, Lacia.
You too. Have a good weekend.
Okay, adjust. 7:52. Let's take a short break, and we'll come back with more of The Link on The Breeze 93.9. Good morning.
45 never looks.
Self-storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
We got your 6
at 6 a.m. with The Link on Breeze 93.9 FM. Bree and I connect you with all the latest news and information you need to know to start your day.
Then check back with Guam's news leader at 6 p.m. for the day's top headlines with KUAM News Primetime.
From 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and everything else in between with KUAM Digital We got your 6. Link on the breeze, 93.9 KUAM FM in Hagåtña, Guam on this Friday. Woohoo! Biba Betness. And it's all proudly brought to you by Polka, distributed on Guam by Ambrose Inc. You check out Polka's line of great coffees and teas. We have them on display on our Polka Pyramid here in our KUAM studios. Coming up here, we got Nick Lee from the Guam Environmental Protection Agency. We'll talk, give us a moment, clean up with him. There's just a bunch of stuff going on with Guam EPA that we kind of want to get the word out about. Also, we'll check in with the Port GM, Roy Respicio, and the president/governor, former governor Carl Gutierrez, the president of the Guam Visitors Bureau, talking reopening tourism. All that is coming up. Hey, our viewers on KUAM TV 11, thank you so much for watching us on this beautiful Friday morning. Wow, it's a nice and sunny and cloudy. One of those. Make up your mind, Guam. So thanks for watching us. Remember, Monday on the show, we'll be on KUAM TV 8. So if you like watching us on TV, you can wake up dark and early. All right, catch us 6 a.m. KUAM TV 8 on Monday. That's what's coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. 9 o'clock, we switch it over to KUAM News' Decision 2020.
Right, and joining us for the after party today, it's our very first after party. We've got Phil Leon Guerrero. He currently works for Senator Regine Bisco-Lee. He also used to work for former Lieutenant Governor Ray Tenorio. Phil Flores will be joining us. He is the former Republican Party of Guam chairperson, a local businessman. Michael Israel will also be joining us via Zoom. And Munyeka Dioro, she will be with us today. The after party, it gets started at 9 o'clock this morning.
That's going to be pretty interesting. Just judging by the panelists that we're going to have, there's going to be a lot of different opinions flying out for the after party. I might go get a face shield.
Oh my goodness! I actually have I have one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know me.
Yeah, Bree is ready for the zombie apocalypse and COVID at the same time. She's prepped. She got a basement. She got a bunker.
Oh gosh.
Okay, I'll stop. Hey, so KUAM TV 11. Thank you guys so much for watching, and catch us over on our KUAM News Facebook Live feed, or of course on the Breeze 93.9. Let's go ahead and do it. It's 8 o'clock again. We are KUAM FM Hagatna Guam. Good morning.
Ko sinya uli di sombran satan mak etsu ita saluda antes diu hum niga Radzał dan malak estrellas durante todo el memu a nogi distancia como kupugi palu zaniman malak guafi con una sughiairi preba tu la noci nai banderata gaigi pues atan fanni bandera kau esta pagua pumalapa giluk tanu man libri sentami ti man ko badi. Quando
Viva Business 808 on the link. The Breeze 93.9 proudly brought to you by Polka. Check out their awesome assortment of teas and coffees. Bree, what you sipping on there? Sipping on the Polka.
Yes, I am. It's good.
What do you got? What is it?
It's coffee.
Okay.
Iced coffee. Premium cappuccino.
Ooh, cappuccino.
Yes.
There you go. You check it out. Polka, it's available all over Guam, distributed by Ambrose Inc., also IT&E, and Calvo Enterprises, 809 on the link. We got a lot of stuff going on, so let's just jam through it. Remember, 9 o'clock, the after party. We're bringing it back. It was a great feature that we debuted during the last election, and we'll bring it back every Friday for the duration of Decision 2020. And remember, in-office voting, the Guam Election Commission, I believe that starts at 9, right?
Yes, with Manumco Hour. And please make an appointment. The appointments start at 10. For those that did call in, that number is 477-9791. For more information about in-office absentee voting, you can go to gec.guam.gov.
Right, and they had just under 80 people cast ballots yesterday for in-office voting. So that's it. I mean, we are underway.
Yep. And they also have curbside voting as well.
Right, so if you're elderly or disabled or otherwise unable to come up to the second floor of the GEC, again, you make that appointment and you pull up right along there on the, I don't know what road it is. The one that's by Marine Drive 9th, right there. Just go there. Okay, it's a one-way.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that one, exactly. Past the third coconut tree, you went too far. It's 8:10. Let's jump to our Zoom feed where we have Nick Lee, one of my favorite Government of Guam PIOs, the Guam Environmental Protection Agency. Nick, thanks for joining us. Hey, where are you at? Are you at Homeland or are you at Guam EPA?
Hey, good morning, Chris.
Morning.
I wish you could repeat that again so I could record it, but I'm here at a civil defense.
Okay.
Yeah, we're still activated with Joint Information Center.
I guess let's just start there. What is the Joint Information Center doing? What are you guys doing? Because it's PCOR 3, and I just thought, joint JIC,
Well, I mean, since we're still in a declared public health emergency, right. we're still activated. So the releases that come out daily is something that's done out of this office. And I think more importantly is the 311 hotline, particularly option 8, when you want to make some general inquiries related to COVID, you get a chance to make those inquiries through us Monday to Friday, 8 to 5.
Okay. Now, let's talk about the cleanup, the Give Us a Moment cleanup. I believe that's scheduled for tomorrow?
Yeah, the GBB cleanup is scheduled for tomorrow. I believe go time is 6 a.m. Depending on which department or agency you work for, you've got your assigned route. I know for EPA, we're taking, I think it's the Navy Gate towards the fuel farm. So it's probably like about a 2.5 mile stretch maybe. It's great work. Credit to GBB and Lieutenant Governor Tenorio's beautification task force for getting this done. So we're happy to
I almost thought you were talking about Ray for a second there. He said Lieutenant Governor Tenorio. I had a brain fart. Nick, there's a lot of pressure on you guys as Guam EPA. Like, your cleaning has to be the most cleanest one because you guys are kind of like, your EPA. So how excited is your agency to head out there and to, set that example for people?
We're happy to support, and something that Josh has pointed out, Josh Tekenko from GBB, he's pointed out that everybody who's participating in the cleanup is, reminded to sort their waste. So the recyclables get all pieced together. I think they're even going to be separating from food scraps and compostables, and then everything else that would normally go in the landfill will be a separate pile too. So it's good to see the sorting happening. As regulators, sure, we have to set the tone, but I think everybody is going to be aware of the importance of the cleanup. So we have all the confidence in the world that GVB is going to pull off a great cleanup.
You know, just earlier this week, we spoke with Sinahanya Mayor Robert Hoffman, who is also on the GVB board, and he was talking about that parking garage. Chris has visited it. I visited it. It's and it was the focus of a notice of violation by Guam EPA.
I think several.
Yeah,
or a couple.
several.
How many, Nick?
3, 4, maybe.
Yeah.
But most recently, I know that the property owner had two NOVs issued to him for 2 separate violations, and we're still not able to get in touch with this individual.
With Uncle Carl.
Yeah, you got to get with Uncle Carl because Mayor Hoffman told us that Uncle Carl got a hold of him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well,
I sent you guys his cell number, Nick. It's so frustrating. I'm not trying to get pissed off at you, but Jesus Christ, I sent you guys a cell number. I sent you video. I did everything that I feel I was supposed to do as a member of the media to try and effectuate some kind of change or response or accountability. And it's annoying, dude, because, I mean, God, Jesus, I've reached out to you guys how many times on this parking garage and Verona and just seen nothing.
And
So,
now we're
yeah.
hearing that parking garage may be torn down.
Yeah. You know about that?
I think I may have heard something in the news report about DPW might have some authority to get things like that done. I'm not following it too well,
right?
But that is something that I heard probably within the last couple of weeks.
Why hasn't there been any action though on this NOV for David Sue and this parking garage? Has there been anything issued on the Verona side, other than what we've previously reported on?
You know, our program is just not able to properly serve the notice of violation, so that makes things difficult. But the individual is aware that there is enforcement action that is pending.
Maybe you should just give it to Uncle Carl, and then he could go give it to the guy.
Well, whatever is going to make it possible to formally put him on notice. That's something that we'll look at. I mean, but you're absolutely right.
Well, how do you justify that, Nick? It's just freaking frustrating, man, and it sends a bad message to everyone else out there who's, dumping, who's trash. It's like Guam EPA, yeah, you can make a complaint, but, good luck on getting anything done about it.
This is not typical of the complaints that we receive. It does happen where a complaint will be filed with us, and we are able to successfully hold the violator accountable. And so I this is not typical. I don't want the public to think that their due diligence is going to be for nothing.
It is in this case.
Sure, we could agree on that.
And in this case, Nick, and to be fair, yeah, I've reported on the NOVs you guys have issued. You guys have issued, a lot of penalties. You've dinged Department of Defense contractors, which I thought was very ballsy, and I appreciated that. So yeah, I'm not saying you guys, but it's just like, dude, is David Sue connected to somebody that he just continues to slide on this stuff, or what?
We're not. I don't know what his connections are, and that's not something that the agency's going to concern itself with. What we do have is we have a report from members of the community, including yourself, about the condition of the property. Our program is aware of what their authority is, but we have not been able to officially notify. So
wait. So Nick, you guys issued an NOV? I thought you said you issued 2 NOVs.
Well, 2, yeah. One for the hotel, and then one for that.
Right. So was that
parking
issued
garage.
via email? What did you?
Smoke signal? Did you put it up on Tinder?
Did you say you guys weren't able to
No.
notify
I
him?
believe it was emailed, but I'm not certain that it was acknowledged. So that kind of makes things difficult.
Well, just so you know, I don't know if you were able to catch the show with Mayor Hoffman, but he said, and we'll ask former Governor Gutierrez when he comes on. He said that former Governor Gutierrez was able to get a hold of the property owner, and that basically they were going to be bulldozing it.
Maybe our solid waste program manager doesn't carry the same clout as a former governor. I'm not sure. I mean,
Will he still be held accountable, even though he is plans to bulldoze this parking garage?
It's likely, but again, I'd probably take that up with our legal to see what happens in the event that there's another there's something that removes the waste for us and rectifies the situation.
Island-wide cleanup. That's what's going to remove it. But this is just so. And man, Nick, I like you. It's frustrating, beyond frustrating.
Yeah, it's frustrating for our agency and our solid waste program as well. I get that.
Let's talk. If we could, maybe just a quick update on Agent Orange. I know that you guys have done a bunch of stuff with the Fed. So, anything out of that front?
Yeah. So, Senator Terlahi kind of pressed that out for us. Senator Teresa Terlahi pressed it out for us about the report that we put out based on the October 2019 sampling. So some of those areas were resampled. I think we had a couple of new areas that weren't considered in the 2018 sampling. So based on our discussions with US EPA Region 9 folks, we do feel that there's cause. There's enough reason for continued investigation, and something that we've made clear was our intentions to try to convey that and advocate to DOD. The report did indicate that there was a presence of the dioxin that is associated with one of the chlorinated herbicide components, but you can't definitively pin that.
Right. Yeah. And that's the whole problem, is that this stuff breaks down so much over time that by the time you get around to testing it, it could be 50 different things. So yeah, that's how about Bria, you had something on the PFAS, right?
Yeah, I wanted to see if you could provide an update on PFAS. We did get a press release from the US EPA. I believe it was on Wednesday, the 29th. Are you aware of that press release, that the US EPA continuing to aggressively address PFAS in the Pacific Southwest, and specifically for Guam? They noted that the EPA collaborated with Guam EPA to develop preliminary PFAS vulnerability assessment for drinking water wells on the island.
Yeah, we receive technical assistance from Region 9 on that front. There's a couple of things that have to happen. One, it still to this day remains an unregulated contaminant, and I know that that's something it's really needed in order for us to try to figure out if there's going to be any type of action that we can take to go after people and hold them accountable for that type of contamination.
Right. So what was the assessment? What was found? Because it says the assessment was conducted using EPA wellhead protection area analysis methods.
I could send you the documentation after we get off. I didn't get a chance.
No, don't send. Can you just tell us?
It's pretty. It's not in my wheelhouse. It's pretty technical.
Yeah.
In terms of the studies that they're trying to accomplish here. So
simplest layman's terms, how would you break it down for those of us out here who are not environmental scientists?
Right, because it also says that US EPA provided technical document review and consultation for Guam EPA on PFAS cleanup and disposal issues.
Right. So they took a look further at how the contaminant degrades rather, and so we know that it's a persistent contaminant, but I think the sensitivity in the testing is probably what's been conveyed to us the most. That it could possibly, and don't quote me on this immediately, but my limited understanding was that it could still further break down into multiple contaminants, and so the way that we're going to be detecting this in drinking water or in the waste stream is going to change as well, because of what EPA is continuing to learn about PFAS.
Right, and that's the thing is like we're just kind of finding out about. They've always known it existed, but the effects of it and how it transforms, and so it's not just us trying to wrap our heads around this type of contamination, right? This is something that's going on nationwide.
Oh, nationwide, around the globe.
Right.
Yeah, I mean this is not this component is not something that's unique to just Guam in the U.S.
And like COVID, this is something that's actually happening right now in real time.
That's a great assessment, Chris.
Okay, Nick, just last illegal dumping, right? So it's never going away. Where are we on that? I mean, I know that we're back in PCOR 3, and I'm not sure how limited you guys were in terms of being able to go out and cite people. But if you could just status, where are we on illegal dumping? Have we issued citations? Is Guam EPA actively going out to these trouble areas and trying to mitigate, prevent, clean up, anything?
I had a chance to join in on one of these mayor's councils meetings a couple months ago, and one of the indications was that they did notice that illegal dumping was on the rise. I know that some mayors have reached out to the agency to for assistance on this in terms of getting citations done or inspections done based on complaints that their respective village offices were receiving. So we are engaged with the community there. The solid waste management program picked up right where it left off in terms of its inspection schedule. So that's still something that we're working on based on our resources and our personnel.
Right. Okay, Nick. Anything?
Thanks, Nick.
Yeah. Hey, appreciate that, man. And you might see you out there. Which section are you guys doing? You're doing like the big Navy gate, up towards PD?
Yeah, towards the fuel farm.
Okay.
That's correct.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nick.
Thanks, Nick. Take care.
All right. Thank you. You too.
All right, see you.
Bye-bye.
There you go, Nick Lee from Guam EPA, 826. We'll take a short break and come back with Port GM Roy Respicio next on The Link right here on The Breeze 93.9.
GU Self-Storage. Affordable. GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information. Plus 24-hour security system with individual pin-coded gate and door access. GU Self-Storage is located near Harmon McDonald's in the old GPA building. For more info, call us at 648-7867 from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m.
We got your 6
at 6 a.m. with The Link on Breeze 93.9 FM. Bree and I connect you with all the latest news and information you need to know to start your day.
Then check back with Guam's news leader at 6 p.m. for the day's top headlines with KUAM News Primetime.
From 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and everything else in between with KUAM Digital, we got your 6.
honest collaboration. Yo, zone, there's a lot of hula doggy tonight. Let's do this, man. Hey, yo, DJ, turn this music up. Hey, bartender, what my drink at? Uno, sa hula, ikanamu dos. Representa itano mu tres. Putpabot neni. Zeng zung duro ita gamu. Zeng zeng zung, zeng zeng zung, zeng zeng zung, zeng zeng zu the gamu. Zeng zung, zeng zeng zung, zeng zeng zung, zeng zeng zu the gamu. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro. Bottles back with a whole new track. Represent the honeys with a whole lot of back. Tomorrow style, cause I'm known for that. Island pride, cause I'm down like that. This song strictly for the ladies. Where you driving a Guam, I'm rolling a Mercedes.
I'm promoting our culture right now, Bree.
Yes.
You guys remember when Badu and Zone was the thing? Props, man. These guys brought, Mr. Keith, Savage K, that whole first wave of like awesome local musicians and rappers, singers, artists. Zeng Zung. Bree's like, shut up. Let it play. Hey, it's 8:31. The link on the Breeze 93.9. Let's go head down to. You okay?
Yeah. That's your jam.
I'm gonna WhatsApp you that track. That's a good wake me upper, man.
It is.
You know what I mean? Let's go down to the Port Authority of Guam, where the general manager Rory Respicio is standing by. I guess Rory, good morning. First of all.
Good morning, Chris and Bree.
Good morning, Rory. Good to see you.
I know we just had the meeting yesterday, so we'll just start there. If you could unpack. I know that you guys had put out a release that your finances. I don't know if I'd want to brag about this too much in this financial environment, but you put out a release that the port finances are what they call port strong, right?
There you go.
Yeah, first I wanna congratulate you and Serena for your inaugural show. I like the format. I'm glad I made it on the first week. We did have a board meeting, and I was happy to report to our board of directors that the port finances are stable despite this global pandemic. We have received we're experiencing a little bit of a decline in our container throughput, which is about 5.3% less year to date, which accounts for a $1.5 million decrease in our overall revenue projections year to date. But because we're spending 10% less of our budget year to date, or about $4 million, we're still on track to have a net income of about $4.9 million. But what I presented the board is pretty interesting in a sense that our container throughput is down only 5.3%, considering the decline in tourism, which Governor Gutierrez, now as GVB president, is working hard with administration to get back online. But we've been on credit watch, and Standard & Poor's is tying the port's bonds to tourism, which is the same as the general fund, which is the same as the Guam Airport Authority. And so we're trying to make the argument that despite the decline in tourism, if you look at our container throughput year to date, and it's still showing that there's spending that's happening in this economy. It's what Governor Lulian Guerrero and Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio are saying, with all this pandemic unemployment insurance circulating, with all the federal assistance circulating. It's really reflective in the amount of cargo that the port is putting through the island. We have about 90% of the commodities coming to the port. And so that was my report to the board. I also asked pause of the board to recognize the hardworking employees of the Port Authority of Guam who allow us to remain optimal efficiencies. We're 100% operational with our Deputy General Managers, Louis Baza and Dominic Munya. Every single day is a new day for us here at the port, no days alike. We just asked employees to stay focused and recognize that their value to the community when they come to work means that the grocery shelves with food and vegetables and all those commodities coming in, it's because of their work that makes those kinds of things possible.
Right.
We had a very good board meeting yesterday.
Right. Speaking of the hardworking Port Authority employees, I was just reading over a release that was sent, I believe last week or earlier this week, on how the port is continuing to assist in COVID-19 operations. If you wanted to talk about that.
Yeah, Governor Leon Guerrero has asked us early on to look at the port as not only discharging vessels, putting a container from the ship to a chassis and bring it out to community. She's asked us to work closely with the Guam Customs and Quarantine to help them with their container inspection facility. We recently received a $1.6 million grant to update our 2020 master plan, and that's a key component in that. And from time to time, the Port Authority assists the PD mayor. We do assist the administration in some of these projects that the community has to experience. Dominic Muñoz is very active with the food provisions that's being distributed. We adopted JP San Miguel as part of DOE Adopt a School program. And for the upcoming beautification project by the Lieutenant Governor Tenorio, our area is from Fisheye all the way up to Cabras area where GPA is, that corner, and also extending, working our way to the governor's office. But we're trying to diversify the port so it's not just an industrial area. Our maintenance crews work really hard we have our own street sweeper. And so we're seeing a lot of activity in the evenings with the bikers. We're seeing moms will bring their kids to take swimming lessons at USO, and they'll get on their bikes and they'll ride all the way into past Hotel Wharf and Family Beach area. And so we stepped up our maintenance. We stepped up our port police presence. We're marketing the port to be beyond just your traditional port where it's all industrial. We're diversifying our revenue base, and we're also looking at how we can contribute to the community, and it's what the governor and the lieutenant governor has asked us to do.
Rory,
the board's been.
What kind of update can you give us on Colt San Nicolas? Of course, the Port Authority police officer who was arrested and charged with just a whole bunch of sexual assault charges. I know that he was making a request to come back to work or something. So can you tell us anything on that?
Yeah, I could say that he has not been allowed to come back to work. I did take some administrative action, and because it's a personal matter, I cannot speak beyond to what I just told you.
I know you just said you can't speak beyond to what you just told me, but are you able to tell us the administrative action that you took? Was it a termination or
suspension?
No, I can't because it's still an ongoing personal matter.
Okay.
And there's still that IA that's being conducted, the internal affairs investigation being conducted by the port police chief and the human resources administrator.
Right. And then I kind of course, I want to ask about the Port 7. There was some stuff in the news recently about FOIA that was sent, people trying to find out about these settlements. And I know that they had determined that those settlements were actually disclosable. Can you kind of walk us back to the beginning of that? Because I was on leave. Like, did you not want to release the settlement info?
He was the one who was for public disclosure.
So after the AG had opined that they were in fact disclosable to the public, you said that that's what you wanted to do all along?
No. Thank you for the question,
Okay.
and you can have an opportunity to clarify yourself.
Okay. Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, and that Sabrina's right though, that when our two former port councils gave an opinion that because these cases are all linked together, that they're not disclosable. Those cases that have been adjudicated one way or the other aren't disclosable. The position I took was that no, once you have a settlement agreement, either it's a Supreme Court, Civil Service Commission, or board ordered mandate, then and you spend port funds, then that is disclosable. When the public auditor wrote to me and said that he wants to look into all the Port 7, at the time there were about 3 Port 7 settlements that were already adjudicated. When he wanted to look into how those settlements were handled administratively by the port, I wrote back to him and I said, Mr. Public Auditor, can you not just limit your audit into the Port 7? Can you also look at all the other settlements, the Supreme Court order with Mayor Susuiko? There's Ken Yoshida, who was with also had an adverse action, and that was settled. So we gave so the public audit agreed to open it up. I also asked him to reconcile a legal opinion that said that these settlements are not disclosable, and if he could ask the Attorney General for an opinion. So he did, BJ Cruz did. He asked the Attorney General for that legal opinion. The Attorney General gave a legal opinion saying that you got to take these things on a case-by-case basis, and if that individual case is still going through the system and it hasn't been fully adjudicated, then that particular case is not disclosable, but we don't get to tie all these cases together. Right. And so when the AG opinion came out, I did a release saying that we applaud the AG's opinion because it's exactly what we've been trying to do from the beginning here at the port, to be fully transparent, to be accountable. You recall when Mr. Baza made the presentation to the board regarding the final Port 7 cases. He didn't do it in executive session. He did it in an open session so that the board can get the same information as the community can get the same information all at the same time. And so, to the contrary, we weren't operating in secrecy. We didn't have any secret board meetings, and I just didn't want to release the FOIA request that was made by another media outlet, and have our own lawyers say that I jeopardized these cases because I released all the settlement agreements.
Rory, I feel like this is just the Port 7. It's just kind of a done deal. But if you could maybe address some of the appearances of conflicts in that, one of the Port 7, Bernadette, Mena, who's since been reinstated down there at the port. I mean, she worked for you. She worked for BJ. We have the Attorney General who actually getting legal fees for this whole thing. So I guess if you could just speak to that, are you able to tell the public confidently that you were adequately, and even I guess BJ and Levin, you guys were adequately walled off from this whole process?
Well, absolutely, Chris. And early on when you interviewed me, I was very clear that I didn't realize what my conflict was. My conflict is no more than the conflict of the former general manager, who's no longer general manager, who keeps pushing this from the outside in. But I said that because there's an appearance of impropriety, perception is very important. I walled myself off from the very beginning, and I had no doing with this whole process. And so I immediately created a task force that I had the former deputy general manager be in charge of, because I said that if it's politics that got them fired, it's certainly not going to be politics that's going to bring them back. And it was going through the task force process, and when Mr. Baza was hired by the board, he hit the ground running, given his vast, extensive experience in the merit system, understanding the 60-day rule as the rule of law. And if you just follow everything from the Supreme Court decision in the Jojo Guevara case, where the port did not file within 60 days, it was a domino effect, because the port made the argument that all of these 7 cases are interconnected. And so if they're interconnected, they all get the same start date of when management knew or should have known. And then that's how you count the 60 days. But what the media, not KOAM, but what other media is not pointing out is that the proposal that Mr. Baza presented to the board actually saved the board and the Port Authority of Guam, $1 million by moving forward on these settlement agreements. But then there also needs to be some focus on why they weren't filed. These cases weren't filed within the 60 days. And even at that, there's very little public discussion on how all 5 of the 7 won their cases through the merit process. They either prevailed at the Civil Service Commission, prevailed at the Superior Court, prevailed at the Supreme Court, and the only remaining 2, the only reason why they didn't get a merit hearing is because they were still waiting for those other processes to be resolved. But once the ALJ ruled in the Meno case that if you pick 3 different dates of when management knew or should have known, it went anywhere from 63 days to, I believe, 93 days. Following that, ALJ Miller wrote a ALJ decision, a proposed order for the Civil Service Commission, that said that in the Gisette Javalosa case, that also the Port Authority failed to file within 60 days. And then they even went further and said that if you look at what they're being accused of doing, it even at that, even if they did what they didn't merit any adverse action. And adverse action is not only termination, it's also suspension, it's demotion. So in one way, shape, or form, the port would have been on the hook for having to reinstate these employees, providing for the back pay. And one of the things that Mr. Baza was able to negotiate is that these settlements had to include with mitigation. So whatever monies they made throughout the course of that 7-year period was subtracted. And in the case of Vivian Leon, we were facing a $1.2 million settlement, but she agreed that not for the port not to pay back into the retirement fund. So her settlement was about almost $300,000. Those are the details that that people don't really want to talk about. And even though you said you think it's over, we don't think it's over because these 7 employees are still being treated as if though they did something wrong.
But there are. Can we just get? Is there a total amount that all the settlements and the attorney fees and the back pay and all that stuff? Do you have like just a number? Is it how much million or all of the 7? Okay.
I do. So it's about 3.1 million. And another thing that we did, Chris and Sabrina, is that in the fiscal year 2019 budget, we budgeted for these positions, not because, we thought they were going to come back. We just thought that if these positions were budgeted since day one, then the port wouldn't, and the positions have not been filled, then the port would not have to scramble to have to figure out how to pay these things. So in 2019, we budgeted these positions. The public auditor in fiscal year 2019 audit, he was very pleased that the Port Authority finally booked $3.1 million in contingent liabilities. So we expensed all of these things in fiscal year 2019, which we went from $103,000 negative in 2018. We made almost $7 million immediately that 1 year following our first year here in office. We booked out $3.1 million for the contingent liabilities, and then we had to fund another $2 million from a migration salary study that wasn't budgeted by the port. And so we still had a net income of about $3.5 million. And one of the things that Mr. Baza was able to secure in this settlement proposal is that we would have staggered payments, and that also helped our cash flow. Right now, we're trying to have a better posture in the bond market, and if we can get our cash reserves up to 500 days, it'll give us a better credit rating standing. But if we had to pay all of these settlements because either the Civil Service Commission told us or the Supreme Court told us we had to do it, we would have to pay that all within 30 days, as opposed to the staggered settlement agreement that he was able to realize.
Okay.
Well, thanks, Rory,
Yeah,
for clearing all of that up. I
Yeah.
also just wanted to clear something up as well, just a statement that she had made that Bernadette, she had never worked for BJ Cruz. So.
My bad. I misspoke on that.
Okay.
Sorry, Bernadette. Yeah, Rory, thanks for. And when I said it's over, I just feel like there's no. I mean, we have the oversight of the port has already said that, in his opinion, this has run its course and they've done everything that they have to do. The Attorney General, obviously, we know where he sits on it. So I didn't mean it's over. It's over. I just mean that I don't think there's any a party that is outside of this whole process that would provide any kind of outside scrutiny. Because I mean, let's just face it, it's kind of lined up from top to bottom, from Adelup down to the port. And that's what I meant when I said it was over.
What you mean by lined up, Chris? But I do want to say that since all 7 has been back, the 7 years that they weren't at the port, if you do a deep dive, every single division that they were in suffered. From the finances to the HR to marketing. They haven't done an annual report in the last 7 years. But now that the 7 are back, you're starting to see a lot of
hey, we're getting
mobility.
some press releases, Rory. That's what I got to say. We haven't got a port press release. I mean, let's just say it's been a minute. So keep them coming. Thanks, Rory.
Thanks. And hi, Governor Gutierrez.
Yeah, let's get hey, let's bring up former Governor Gutierrez here, if we could. Could we get him on?
He's on?
He's about to be in.
Yeah.
Okay, we're good. Oh, so yeah, we wanted to
morning.
bring him on at the same time, but okay, Rory, we'll see you. Governor, good morning.
You want the same time?
No, it's fine. Whatever. Gov?
Good morning, Governor.
Good morning, Governor.
Hi.
Hey.
I was mesmerized by Rory.
Right. So good morning, and thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Chris and Sabrina and Jason. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, let's just start at the beginning, Gov. I know reopening tourism. We just want to really jump right into it. And the governor, there was some talk about next month. So where are we with the reopening of tourism, and what will it entail when we actually do open up the island for visitors?
Well, as the governor said, we really never closed. We just had to deal with our protocols in certain ratings for the pandemic. And right now, Guam is in PCOR 3. And with that, we are also deemed as low risk. Now, except Japan, Korea, and Taiwan are low risk. And with that protocol, the governor said that we are waiting for them to now set up their protocol where when tourists come here, they do not have to be quarantined upon return. So knowing that, we are like thinking outside the box and figuring out how to make this thing work, wherein the travel agents in those three source countries might be able to accept their tourists coming back if we did certain things here in Guam. And some of those ideas that we're coming up with, that since we've got about 21 Abbott machines right now, and in about a week that we can do all those. Right now we can test with some machines and you get your results in 11 minutes to show that you're negative. So we're trying to figure out how to do the testing, maybe at the airport. Maybe the idea that we came up with is to privatize the testing. Have anybody that like the GRMC, Stay Well, and all those clinics, Seventh-day Adventist, and other clinics that might want to avail themselves to the privatized testing of the tourists that come in here, that when they want ready to leave to go back to their countries, that they could wrap the cost of the testing at the hotels and go back home and not be quarantined. And also we're trying to use the consul generals from those countries here to take a look at the protocols we set, wherein a tourist would come to Guam. If it's less than 5 days, then they go straight to the hotels. They don't have any quarantine. But if they want to stay longer, the procedure is that after day 5, they take a test if they want to stay longer. But if we put and secure the process, we might be able to convince the consul generals that they might certify that they have been really in a good, safe environment, and tell the country that they need not be quarantined when they get back. But I believe that if the travel agents in those countries, if the cost is affordable for them to pay for their test before they go home, I think they would avail themselves to that. So that's what we're looking at right now. But as I said, we never really closed. We're just waiting for those countries to set their procedure and their protocol to match ours.
Gov, I wanted to follow up on something. The last time you were on the show, and I apologize, I can't remember exactly what you said, but you did mention conversations that you were having, and you were working with some officials in Washington, D.C. Do you recall that?
You're talking about carving Guam out of the United States protocols and status ratings?
I believe so.
Right, yeah, that one.
I remember you mentioned something about that.
Anyway, just last night, I received a call from the person arranging, Juan Carlos Benitez, arranging for my visit to see Doug Hosher in the White House and to see Mr. Peter Navarro, and trying to go there and begin the process of getting Guam carved out of the entire United States protocol. Trying to set aside Guam, as I said when I was governor way back, that we are America in Asia, and that we should, the one size fits all doesn't work here. And we're so far off, we're closer to China than we are to Hawaii. And that we should be really, although we're Americans, that we have the international flavor here. We want to make them feel that don't wrap us in with what's going on with what you do in the United States. I mean, we get wrapped up with their dirty politics over there, where the mainstream Democrats don't want to open up the country. And I don't know what's going to happen, but Guam is going to be a victim of that. So hopefully I can carry the message there. The appointment has not been secured, and hopefully I'll know in the next few days, and then I travel like around the the 14th or the 15th.
Right. Gov, so with these, when you talk about visitors coming from the low-risk areas, they get 5 days before they have to test. So we're now going to be trying to attract visitors for these shorter stays, right?
Well, no, you see, well, there are already shorter stays. The average stay on Guam for tourists is 4.9 days.
I see.
And that's why they cut off at 5 days. And but now with a rapid return of testing, in a matter, like I said, 11 minutes, you can get your negativity read out. And so that, and if you keep the cost, right now, I'm sure, but if you use the government costing process, it's going to cost you about $125 is what it's costing the government from the CDC out to public health. And so hopefully that we can get it below $100 to test you and get your results in a few, an hour or so.
You know, we did those things in the past where it's like our millionth visitor and then they get a free hotel room or something. Are we thinking about doing anything about like maybe, hey, first 100 to come to Guam, your stay's covered? Is it like an additional attraction measure or is that?
Yeah, we'll do that.
I just, I'm not a marketing guy, but that sounds pretty cool.
Did we lose him?
Hold on. Just hit the computer. Yeah. It looks like he kind of froze up a little bit there. Hey, coming up in just a few moments, we have the after party. It's KUM News' Decision 2020 election show where we bring on a bunch of different people and we talk about everything that happened during the week. And also we'll touch on some of our candidate interviews. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff that's, I think we lost him. We lost him?
Okay, we're still trying to get him back on.
Right. So who are our panelists for the after party, Bree?
We've got Phil Leon Guerrero's coming on, Phil Flores. We also have Mike Israel and also Muñeca de Oro. They'll be joining us actually in just a matter of minutes.
Right, and so how we have laid out our Decision 2020 programming, it's happening here on the link. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, we do the candidate interviews. And of course, for the first few weeks, that's going to be running through all of your candidates for senator, and then we'll fold in the mayors, the vice mayors, of course, a delegate to Congress. And I think, OPA is running unopposed, but we will get BJ on here. So I think we just lost Uncle Carl for good. So we'll just go ahead and move on from that.
Hopefully we can get him on next
week
to continue his discussion. But that was interesting. I didn't know that he was going to be traveling to Washington, D.C., and that Juan Carlos Benitez was actually helping hook him up with some of those officials.
Maybe we should get Juan Carlos Benitez on.
Maybe he can meet with our congressman.
No, he is. They had a budget hearing.
Carl Gutierrez is going to meet with
I believe in that budget hearing he had said that he was working with the congressman or that he was going to meet with him.
That's good.
Yeah. It's an interesting dynamic because former Governor Gutierrez is really in Congressman San Nicolas's corner. So there's that little bit of, I don't know if I'm reading too much into it, but obviously, Adelup is not not supporting San Nicolas. So it's a little awkward. But hey, let's just all work together.
They're not?
Well, then come on. Maybe they are. I don't know. 8:58. So again, we'll take a short break and we'll come back with our Decision 2020 KUAM News After Party next. Right here on the link, it's The Breeze 93.9. Good morning. Good morning.
Why take the most of your time? Waiting in line should be last on your mind.